Architecture is timeless. Just ask Antonio Gaudi in Barcelona. I can't waste no time. They really are timeless.
I cannot waste no time. I'm really timeless.
All right, peeps, welcome back. Session number 2 of the brand new podcast, breaking down the development pro forma with your man, Eric Brody. All right, so what we did the first time is we talked about acquisition. Now you've acquired the asset. What do? You need to hire your first person on the deal, your first professional, and the first one we're going to talk about on the development pro forma, the architect. So my father was an architect for many, many years and is still an architect but retired. And what my father always used to say when you meet someone who says that they're in the design business or they're an architect was one simple question. Are they an RA? What does RA stand for? It stands for Registered Architect. Anyone can call themselves a designer, but a registered architect is a certain process. And when we are talking and moving forward with architecture, we're talking about the legal definition of a registered architect, not a designer friend of yours, all right? Okay, what is the educational requirement to be considered a registered architect versus an architect? So first and foremost, usually like a 5-year program on your bachelor's. Boom. The next thing you have to do, which is crazy, is an apprenticeship. Just like certain trades out there, which we don't do in America, but architecture is required. 3,740 hours across multiple categories: design, project management, construction, admin at an architectural firm. They call it an AXP, Architectural Experience Program. So imagine that after school, you then all need those hours. Then each state has an exam to be licensed. Why? People's lives are on the line. You are designing to the code, the resolution, the building code, multiple dwelling laws, whatever the municipality has a requirement for. So there is a 6-part exam, 12 hours a day that you have to pass, which is insane. Project management, programming and analysis, design, development, documentation, construction, evaluation, just to be called a licensed architect. And each state has its own rules. So that is what's so crazy about it. So when you're speaking to someone, are they an architect or registered architect? Imagine how important it is to respect an RA and what they actually do. All right. Now, architect back in the day, which is fascinating because the term means something, used to mean master builder. That's not me, that's Latin, that's Greek, right? Chief builder, master builder. In ancient times, okay, and that's why I think it's just so important to understand their role. They were required not just to design, they were the engineers, the planners, and often the contractors that were responsible for building the building. The first building code, all right, because just how relevant this is to what we do today, was the Assyrian code circa 1750 BCE. And if you think I memorized that, you got something else coming. I'm looking at a document telling me that. Okay, so they called it the code. Now check this out, because I quote this all the time. If the builder, the architect on the site collapsed and the owner passed away, the builder should be put to death. Imagine how serious it is, and that's why it's a licensed professional. All right, now, what is the role of the architect in your specific development? So first and foremost is to understand the density. What can you actually build there so that you and I could underwrite it, which we were talking about before. The next is they are the designer. What is their vision for this asset? What's the conceptual design? What should we put there? How many units? Type of units? What are the elevations? What is it that you're actually going to put there? What is the vision of the facade, right? Because you look at a macro thesis that there needs to be an actual project here, but you have to make it so that it works for your return on investment. You need the artist to put pen to paper, technically it's now design and it's probably AI, in order to create that design that would be enticing to your consumer. So first, vision and planning. Then, even more important after that is they have to file with that municipality, which we call technical drawings, and getting the actual permit. In many places, there's something called an expediter, like in New York City, but elsewhere, the architect is required to interpret the code with their design to file to get that actual approval. Now you've got the approval, you're looking to move forward. They're responsible for now coordinating. Now there's other trades and there's other engineers that we'll talk about, but the architect sits there and coordinates all of these drawings to give you a set of drawings, which we would call CDs, construction documents, so that you can actually build the building. Now, the architect, which is also interesting, and I've said it before, you have two agreements, one with the contractor and one with the lead architect when it comes to the simplest paradigm to construction and development. So what are they doing? They interface with you, with the client. Not only do they understand the technicality, not only are they understanding density, not only do they have to understand coordination, they also are the ones interfacing with you as the client. And the last thing is, many contract AIA agreements, which we'll go to in the future as well, Architectural Institute Association of America, something like that, they actually are responsible in the field for signing off and saying that the contractor built as to what their intent was. So they also are included in construction admin, meaning actually building that building. Architectural fees, and remember, this is about the pro forma. We're supposed to underwrite the project correctly when we're initially analyzing to see if we want to build this development or not. So what do? How do you underwrite what an architect is? So what we've always done in the past, which is a placeholder, is a price per square foot, right? They have to design a certain criteria for the building. So what we do in underwriting our pro forma is we take what we believe to be the floor area foot, we apply a cost per square foot, and this is just for the architect. So in New York, that pricing can be anywhere from $6 per square foot. Then you have Starchitects up to $20 per square foot. So it really depends on the asset, what you're trying to build and develop, and the scope of work for that specific architect. That is the line item called architect, and now you know a little bit about it. Number one, they better be a registered architect, and now you understand what they are required to fill out for you in order to execute that project, and we went over exactly what that cost should be. Now, the last part that we always talk about in these quick podcasts is, how is technology changing the design and architectural process? So first and foremost, registered architect, license, stamping your drawing. Technology's not removing that. But what about if I told you the following, and this is how AI is changing the game. Can you upload a data lake? A data lake in this case would be every drawing that ever existed for every asset class, or at least a massive amount of input. Let's just say multiple dwellings in New York City, 50 by 100 lots. Let's say you could get 100,000 buildings and get the full documentation of the architectural of 50 by 100 lots. Could you then ask a AI to basically design the best building, meaning based on which variables, highest return, things that are selling, hit enter, and it will assist you in design? The answer is not yet, but that is coming, because if we can understand AutoCAD drawings and then layer in AI, the AI would be able to tell us what the best design is. Then we could pass that to the architect. Obviously, they have to stamp it. It has to be the code. It has to be the resolution. But imagine what the efficiency could be when you're plugging in 100,000 floor plans to know exactly what the most efficient, highest yielding return plan is. Look out for that in the future. That's your boy. Number 2 on that pro forma, acquisition. And then the first thing we do, we retain our architect, and they better be registered. Talk to you soon. Peace.